Welcome to the Shadow Talks. Without wasting time, let's go to the video.
That Saturday evening, my parents went to visit my grandma, leaving me completely alone at home. I was 15 and excited because it meant no rules and no one telling me when I could or couldn't watch. The house felt quiet and safe. I locked the doors, made a huge bowl of popcorn, and sat on the couch feeling relaxed, not knowing that this calm moment was about to turn into the worst night of my life. I was about 30 minutes into The Conjuring when a loud knock hit the front door. It came out of nowhere and made my heart jump. Nobody ever knocked that late. I paused the movie and walked slowly to the door. When I looked through the peephole, I saw a girl wearing a green Girl Scout sash with her hair in pigtails, smiling straight at the door. At first, it seemed normal. Girl Scouts sold cookies all the time, but the longer I looked, the more uncomfortable I felt. She didn't look like a kid. She looked much older, maybe in her 20s. Her makeup was heavy, and her smile felt forced. My gut told me not to open the door, but I ignored it, thinking I was just scared from the movie. I opened the door. She spoke in a sweet voice and said she was raising money for the troops. I agreed to buy 1 box of cookies. When she leaned closer, I smelled strong perfume that made my throat tight. Then she said she had more flavors in her van and asked if I wanted to see them. My stomach dropped, but I still didn't say no. I followed her outside. A white van was parked at the curb with the engine running. The back had no windows, only solid white panels. As soon as she slid the side door open, hands came out of the darkness. They grabbed my arms, covered my mouth, and pulled me inside before I could scream. The doors slammed shut and the van started moving. Inside, it smelled like smoke and alcohol. They pinned me down and searched my pockets, taking my phone, wallet, and even my shoes. I was crying and begging them to let me go. The girl sat in the front seat and laughed as she pulled off her pigtails. Without the pigtails, she looked older and cruel. She called me a stupid teenager. Then she pressed a lit cigarette against my arm. I screamed, and that's when the beating started. Fists hit my ribs, my face, and my stomach. They weren't trying to knock me out. They wanted me to feel every hit. I don't know how long it lasted. Time disappeared. All I remember is pain, laughter, and the smell of smoke. Eventually, the van stopped. They threw me out onto the street like I meant nothing. One of them warned me not to look up and said they knew where I lived. A woman found me and called for help. I spent 2 days in the hospital with broken ribs, a concussion, and a broken nose. The bruises healed, but the fear didn't. Every knock on the door still makes my body freeze. Every white van makes my heart race. The police never caught them. As far as I know, they're still out there, knocking on doors and waiting for someone else to make the same mistake I did. My mom worked night shifts as a nurse, so being home alone was normal for me. I knew the sounds of the house, the quiet hum of the fridge, the way the walls creaked late at night. It always felt safe. Lately, her boyfriend Steven had been staying over sometimes. He worked at the same hospital. He was older, calm, and polite. Nothing about him ever felt dangerous. That night, around 9:30, I was sitting at the table doing homework when someone knocked on the door. The knock wasn't loud or aggressive. It was casual, like someone who belonged there. I walked to the door and looked through the peephole. It was Steven, still wearing his hospital scrubs. He looked tired, like he had just finished a long shift. When I opened the door slightly, he said he forgot his backpack and needed his medication. His voice sounded normal, familiar. I didn't see any reason to be scared, so I let him inside. The moment he stepped into the house, something felt wrong. I couldn't explain it. The way he moved felt tense, rushed. My chest felt tight. I grabbed my phone and walked toward the kitchen, pretending everything was fine. I called my mom. When she answered, her voice instantly changed. She told me they had broken up earlier that day. She told me Steven was unstable. She told me to lock myself in my room right now. I turned around and Steven was standing in the doorway. He wasn't holding his backpack. He was holding my mom's gun. My body went cold. He told me to hang up the phone. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped it. He forced me onto my knees and pressed the gun against my forehead. I could see his finger resting on the trigger. In that moment, I truly believed my life was over. I knew I had seconds to think. If I screamed or ran, he would kill me. So I did the only thing I could. I lied. I told him I hated my mom. I told him she never cared about me. I said he was the only one who understood me. Every word felt disgusting, but I watched his face soften. I could see him believing me, and that was the most terrifying part. Stephen lowered the gun and hugged me. I froze inside his arms, afraid that even breathing wrong would make him snap again. He talked about leaving together, starting fresh. I nodded and agreed to everything he said. I asked if I could grab my things first. He hesitated, then agreed, but kept his hand tight on my shoulder, the gun still hanging at his side as we walked down the hallway. Inside my bedroom, my hands shook as I grabbed random clothes and stuffed them into a bag. Stephen stood in the doorway watching me closely. I told him I needed to use the bathroom before we left. He stared at me for a long moment before agreeing. When I stepped inside, I locked the door as quietly as I could and slid down into the bathtub, holding my breath. I called my mom and whispered everything. Stephen started yelling outside the door. Then he began kicking it. The door shook with every hit. The wood cracked near the lock. He screamed that he would kill me if I didn't open it. I pressed myself against the wall, crying silently, listening as sirens slowly grew louder outside. Stephen heard the sirens too. He kicked the door harder, panicking. Then suddenly the noise stopped. I heard footsteps running away. Moments later, police voices filled the house. My mom was there, screaming my name. When I opened the door, my legs gave out and I collapsed into her arms, shaking uncontrollably. Stephen was arrested trying to escape out the back. We moved to a new town soon after. New house, new locks, new security system. But safety never really came back, because one day he'll get out, and when he does, he'll remember me. It was a Friday night in late October. My parents were out at a wedding and wouldn't be home until after midnight. I didn't mind being alone. The neighborhood was quiet, well lit, and familiar. I was lying on my bed watching YouTube when I heard screaming outside. At first, I tried to ignore it, but the sound didn't stop. It got louder, more desperate. I got up and looked out my bedroom window. Across the street, my neighbor's kitchen lights were on. I could see them clearly. The husband was yelling at his wife. She was crying and backing away from him. I should have closed my blinds and walked away. Instead, I stood there frozen, watching something I knew I shouldn't be seeing. Suddenly, he grabbed her by the neck and threw her to the floor. I gasped. Then, he picked up a large kitchen knife. She screamed and tried to crawl away, but he was faster. He stabbed her again and again. I lost count. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I could only watch as her body stopped fighting. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, the man slowly looked up. His eyes locked onto mine through the window. My heart dropped into my stomach. He knew I saw everything. He stared at me like he was memorizing my face, like he was deciding something important. I ducked down and grabbed my phone, my hand shaking so badly I almost dropped it. I called 911 and whispered what I had seen. Halfway through the call, I heard footsteps outside my house, slow, heavy, crunching on gravel. The dispatcher told me to stay calm, but my body felt numb with fear. The footsteps stopped near my back door. The handle began to shake. I heard his voice telling me he knew I saw him. I backed away, barely breathing. The dispatcher told me police were on the way, but all I could think about was how thin the door felt between us. He started kicking the door. The whole frame shook. I ran to my closet and hid behind my coats, pressing myself into the corner. I covered my mouth to keep from crying out loud. Every sound felt 10 times louder. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. Glass shattered somewhere in the house. he had broken a window. I heard his boots hit the floor as he walked inside, slowly, calmly, checking rooms. Each step felt closer than the last. I was sure I was going to die in that closet. Then sirens filled the street, loud and sudden. The footsteps stopped. I heard him run. Moments later, police were shouting commands outside. They searched the house while I stayed hidden, shaking until they finally told me it was safe. They found his wife dead across the street. He was never caught. He's still out there, knowing what I look like, knowing where I live. And every night when the house goes quiet, I wonder if tonight is the night he comes back.
If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe my channel. See you on next videos. Till then, goodbye.